So as an actor, as a dancer, as a writer, as an artist, and as a human, it's really important to understand what your perspective is and not to be pushed around and to know how to hold your ground. And sometimes we get pushed a little bit and then we step back into our power, whomever it may be, whether it be a woman or a man. That balance of power is important, and not to give away your power. Because what I've found, at least for me, that if I'm holding the power, I'm going to be fair. I'm going to distribute it fairly. Whereas a lot of people are not like that. You give them the power and they don't know what to do with it. They're overwhelmed. They lash out. There's many ways that it manifests. So it's very important to hold on to your personal power and learn how to always have a balance of power. And then it goes to balancing your art with your life. That's, again, a balance of power and understanding.
Welcome to Creative Synergy Show. I'm your host, Coach Sin, and we have a very special guest in-house. You know her from Angel, from Just Shoot Me. She played Jackie Kennedy in 13 Days, Models Inc., but I have known her for years, and very special guest. We want to give her a nice, warm welcome. Miss Stephanie Romanov, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Coach Sin. I really appreciate it. It's really good to see you. We have a very special relationship and in each other's lives pretty much your whole life. So this is an honor for me.
It's an honor for me. I've been looking forward to having you on and talking about some of these things because you have had quite an interesting career. You spanned like multiple artistic ventures, not only with your acting and modeling, but you're also into doing your own art as well. So we're going to touch on that a little bit later on. But just for people who are not, the viewers of my show may or may not know your background, could you tell us a little bit about how you got started in modeling?
Yes. Well, I started actually performing since I was a young girl. I was always into dance, and ballet was my favorite, just 5 days a week. And then I got really tall really fast. Well, I was always really tall. Like, I used to go to school with Cynthia's older sister, and she was always petite and with the cute girls in the front, and I was back row center with all the dudes. So grew up tall, grew up fast. Sorry, that was reminding me of a Tom Petty song, so I'll do that sometimes. Um, and then I realized that I couldn't go to New York and be a ballet dancer because I was too tall. And that's when modeling came into the picture. I realized because by 13, I was 5'8", by 14, I was 5'9". And I read in one of my sister's magazines that you had to be 5'9". And I was like, okay, maybe I could do this. So then I got an agent in Vegas. It was called the Lens Modeling Agency. And I started doing fashion shows for New York designers who would fly into Vegas, and we would do shows on the stages of the major casinos like Caesar's Palace and all that, which is really cool because you got to see, back then it was Siegfried and Roy, and you could see kind of all the contraptions for the magic shows, whatever. That's just an aside. But Mark Bauer, who's a very famous designer, he did a lot of Tony Braxton's costumes and all of that. He saw me, he's like, you need to be in New York. So I saved up my money. I was very scrappy. I would babysit, clean houses, do the modeling, and it took me about a year to get together a portfolio that is then sent to Elite in New York. And John Casablancas, who was the owner, flew to Vegas to meet me. And the next week, I was in New York. And I was 15. You have to be kind of scrappy because I'm there. I'm in a model's apartment with like two other young girls, but they basically say, here's the addresses, learn the subway. Good luck. So I did. I learned the subway. I remember because I was only given a certain amount a week, and I had to balance out my budget so that I could eat, do the subway and all of that. And I would end up walking almost everywhere. By the end of the summer, all my shoes had holes in them. But so I would drive and doing it. But I was only there for about a month when I got booked to do the Italian and French bazaar collections and flew over. So my first time on a plane was going from Vegas to New York. I had my Pooh Bear with me. I still have Pooh Bear, by the way.
Aw.
And then my second time on a plane was going to Paris, Rome, and Milan. And with the top magazine, top editors, top models, it was amazing.
And at 15, right?
Yes, and I was
Wow.
15.
That
Scrappy. I mean, I was very fortunate that my mother raised us to be quite independent, and we got our banking accounts pretty young, learning how to deal with money. And even I was given like $100 a week to eat, go on all my castings, whatever. And other girls were given more money. And at the end of the month, they'd be borrowing money from me because I would budget it really well. Like I was ready. Do you know? I think I was ready to get out. I was ready to perform. I was ready to be in the world. I was definitely the type of personality that hears the yeses. Like there were a ton of no's. There were a ton of, I mean, I remember even one of my neighbors going, "Ooh, ugly Stephanie's going to New York." And I was like, "Oh, yes, I am."
People can be so cruel. And with that being said, I'm sure a lot of people's references to the modeling world it's just the reality show America's Next Top Model, which is a lot of it's fabricated for television. But so I was wondering if you could speak on the actual demands of the industry. Like, what did it take physically and mentally to actually get through? So, like you said, just go out into the world and try to accomplish these goals.
Right. Well, full disclosure, I've never seen America's Top Model, but I
I don't
have
blame
read
you.
that it was I don't really like reality TV. I don't like meanness, um, unless I'm Lila.
We'll get into that.
Lila, bitch.
Yeah, yeah.
But, it is one of the things that you have to have is the ability, to take rejection because there is a lot of rejection. There's a lot more no's than there are yeses. And I was just fortunate that I was born like, I see the open door. I hear the yeses. I don't hear the no's. I don't hear the slam doors in my face. I mean, I hear them, but it's like water's off a duck's back because my goal is far more important than the no's.
So what about physically? Because you said you had been doing ballet before, so were you always try in shape and, just
Oh,
trying to
yeah.
stay yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I started dancing when I was 3. I did tap, jazz, gymnastics, ballet. I was in really good shape. I mean, when I used to do the swimsuit campaigns, I used to airbrush out my six pack. So I was
That's crazy.
because back then they didn't want girls having six packs. But
That's
yeah, I was
true.
in really good shape and I didn't have to worry too much about that. Although when I it's a funny story. When I booked the Italian and French Bazaar, I had lost weight to go to New York. And then when I got to New York, there was like food everywhere, like pizza, hot dogs. So I gained 10 pounds from the time they booked me till the time we got to Europe. And they were like, hmm, I mean, luckily they didn't fire me. I remember being at dinner with them and I would like try not to eat as much as everybody else and sitting right next to the main editor of Italian and French Bazaar, Paponi was his name. And he was like sneaking me bread under the table. So there was always a bit of kindness. I didn't have the same pressure that a lot of the girls did. And I did after that lose some of that weight. But the photos looked fine. And then through most of my career, I was never as skinny as the other girls, especially in the 90s when it became like that heroin chic. And
Right.
my clients would say to me, please, please don't lose weight. I was like, no problem. Don't have to worry about it. But I'm not someone who ever had to really battle my weight, but I was super active. I was also very athletic. And when I first moved to New York, and for most of the time, I didn't take taxis. I would walk to most of my it used to have to go and go sees. Now a lot of it's digital and you don't have to go, but it'd have to, by the end of the summer, I'd have holes in my shoes because I would walk everywhere. So I was very active. So I stayed, I was also a hyper person. I don't know if you can tell. So,
No, you? No, not at all.
no, but me, I'm sure it's not true. So that helps. I did have a genetic, not a bill, a genetic component to it. So I didn't have to work as hard. But I know a lot of girls who starved themselves and girls who were there as young as me who weren't as prepared as I was emotionally. And it made me sad as why would their parents allow them to come this young? I understood why my parents let me come because I was really responsible. And I don't know if you know this, but like your parents sometimes like I would be the only friend that they would let your sister go out with. So
That
because
makes
they knew
sense.
I would have her home on time. I was
Yeah.
very respectful and I would follow the rules like that. So I think that's why my mother said that's why she let me go. She knew she could trust me. She knew I would do the right thing. At least then, at that time.
Not so much now. Um,
Well, now I'm older, so of course I always do the right thing.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So your daughter is following in your footsteps. She looks almost pretty much just like you. So have you noticed with her going into modeling any differences as compared to when you used to do it?
I mean, for sure, it's a completely different world. Now there is social media, there's Instagram. We used to have to go physically everywhere carrying our portfolios. Now the portfolios are online. You can film at home. It's so much easier now, actually. It's easier and it's harder at the same time. Because the thing about it now, most of the clients will just look online at their books. Whereas when I was younger, you had to go and they basically didn't barely look at you. They'd just be like, and hand your book back. So it was constant, like unknowing and unsure. Do they like me? Do they not like me? It was a like every day, all the time. Sometimes you have 10 go sees a day and having that, disregarded. So they get to skip that part. But
So
they
there's more,
also
yeah, more rejection to your face rather than their, you know.
absolutely. But now there's, because of all of that, there's a lot more competition, I feel. So in another way, it's more difficult now because it's much easier, even world, like global booking now, because they can look at everything online.
Yeah, I can relate to that as a writer because I used to do the same thing. I would have a portfolio of clips, old school clips, and I would bring that around. And now, like similar, everything is digital, and everything has, it's expanded, and everyone thinks they can write because they can use an AI tool. Where there's actually nuances
Right.
to writing, but that's another story for another time. Getting back to your story now, what compelled you to make the switch into acting, or had you always had your eyes set on that?
Always. I always wanted to be an actress. I was in my first grade play. I was Mrs. Hurry Up in the Runaway Presents. My first time on stage, and I never got off. But that was also as a dancer. I loved performing. And then when I started acting, I was in drama in high school and being on, I loved being on stage. I've always loved performing. So acting, I remember I wanted to be a ballet. I remember, this is a funny story. I think I was in second grade, second or third grade, and I had horrible handwriting. And it was one of those parent teacher meetings. And the teacher, who I did not like very much, can't remember her name. I don't know why. Looked at me and to my mom. She's like, what if Stephanie grows up to be a secretary? And my mom and I looked at each other and started laughing. Oh, I will not be nothing wrong with it, but I knew that I was a performer. So the modeling was something that was unexpected because I was never really a fashionista. I wasn't big in that world. I just knew it was a way to get me to New York and that I was tall enough. So it was just kind of matter of fact. So for me, my eye was always on the acting, but then the modeling kind of went so well. I studied a little bit in New York with the acting, but I was traveling a lot. And then by the time I was 21, I thought I better start hitting over to the acting or it's going to get too late for me. So I told everybody when my lease was up in New York, I was going to move to LA. Nobody believed me. Like, oh, you're such a New Yorker. You're never going to leave. I'm like, watch me. And then when my lease was up, I did. I moved. And also, I was starting to feel unsafe in New York. I was the only person I knew who hadn't been mugged, literally, of
Jeez.
all my friends, of everyone. And I thought, okay, I want to move to LA. I want to be a little safer and I want to start acting. So then I moved on my way to moving to LA, I go to Las Vegas because my sister was getting married and it was in May. And I was helping her with her wedding and I had to wait for the movers to move all my stuff over. So during that time, the LA riots break out.
Wow.
So me moving to LA to feel safer.
Yeah, yeah, good
I was
thing you
like,
had that little stopover in the safe Vegas area. Uh,
exactly the safe. Exactly. I mean,
yeah,
I think you know what it was like growing up in Vegas. I think
sure.
Vegas prepares you to be scrappy and for untoward people to be around, and you have that kind of radar. So that I think helped me in New York. And also, I was very, very polite. I don't know if you remember this. I used to be very polite.
It used to be.
And with all the homeless people, I would call them ma'am or sir, and I would always acknowledge them. So they would protect me if someone tried
Well,
to. And I had one time where one did really protect me from some danger.
but yeah, so the acting bug had always been there, and one of the first major roles, at least that I remember, is that you got uh, a lead essentially on Models Inc., which was a spinoff from Melrose Place and an Aaron Spelling production. So, was there any pressure there, knowing that all those variables were in place when you got that role?
It's funny because it was pretty much my first audition. I had been in LA for a few years. And the thing is, when you move from New York to LA, you're a New York model. So then I was working constantly and it was hard to start acting. And I met this man who became my manager. That's a funny story, but I'll tell it another time. And he sent me out on auditions, and this was meant just to be a guest spot for the first episode, and then, she dies and comes and then there's,
Yes,
flashbacks.
you had the infamous, death and then came back as the same the different character with the same face, but
Yeah, so
continue.
what happened as we started shooting the pilot, they realized they wanted me on the show. So it was because of my performance that I became a series regular on that, which was very exciting.
It was very
And so
exciting, and to me, like, you were the lead, it seemed like, because you had the main storyline with, Emma Samms and, everybody else
yeah,
in there, so, I
but
think
it's pretty exciting, and
yeah.
especially for my very first job and to be on posters everywhere and on buses everywhere. And like you said, like, were you nervous? Did you feel the pressure? This is like where you're young and you're stupid and you're fortunate not to realize what that, like, I didn't know what that pressure was. I didn't understand what all of that meant. I was just so excited to be doing it. I remember my very first scene was on Melrose Place, like ever first time even on a set. I'd never been on a set. I didn't know how anything worked. And it was with Heather Locklear, Linda Gray, like all these like main
Right.
players of Melrose Place. And we're at a dinner table at a restaurant. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I
I
do.
walk into my black dress. So that
Mhm.
was my very first scene, very first time doing, and and I don't know if everybody knows this, but there's like a master shot, then they come in for 2 shots, then they come in for singles. I just thought they shot it all in one. So we shot the first take, and I was like, "Is that it? Are we done?" And they all laughed at me. They thought it was the funniest thing, like 12 hours later. But I just didn't know, and I was so excited to be there. And I had been on a waiting list to get into it. I hadn't even gotten into my acting class yet. I had been on a waiting list for the acting class and started booking. So that was very fortunate
That's
that I
amazing.
got a job.
You must there must be something about you that,
Do you
gets you
think?
into
Do you
yeah,
think there's something about me?
just a little something, something.
Well, there's definitely enthusiasm for
For sure.
sure. There's enthusiasm,
Well,
and
I
I feel like
remember
there's a joyousness about me that comes across. And what's funny about that character was the meanness. I think playing a bit of my shadow, which also goes back to Lila. There is
right.
something I think I shine better because, like, when I came back on Models Inc., I was the good girl, and I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, this is boring." But I think it's fun, kind of playing the bad girl.
Then you also had quite a few, scenes with Carrie Ann Moss, which how
Yes,
yeah.
she played my sister, my older sister.
Originally, she was your sister, and then when that
Oh,
character
right.
died off, what was it? What was her name in that? Monique? Dominique? Something like that?
Yeah, Monique was
Yeah.
the first one, and then I came back as Terry, I think.
Yeah, something like that, so,
Yeah,
but
I forget what our dynamic was then. I think that I you know what, I can't even remember, it's been too long ago.
you guys did pair well off each other to say, "Yeah, you're sisters," but yeah, speaking of Lila and Angel, which is, probably where everyone knows you from, um, how did that come about?
Well, that was funny, it was just meant to be a couple of episodes, and
See, that's a recurring theme in your life. It was just supposed to be the one-off, and they liked you so much that they kept you on, but go ahead.
yeah, no, exactly. So that was Lila was a gift that just kept giving. I never knew from one episode to the next how many more I would have, or if I was, there was a running joke because I don't know if you remember, but the people in the law firm kept getting killed. So when we would get our script, we're like, do we die this time? Do we die this time? And I didn't die until, quite a few years later.
That's
So that was a unexpected gift.
and I think you were saying that being, playing the bad guy is a lot more fun than it is to be the good guy because you have a lot more like they say the devil always has the best lines, so you have a lot more
Right.
room to play with that, but, that
And I
was a
like the comedic twist that they gave to Lila.
right.
And that I think part of that is based on my personality, based on being able to deliver those lines. And I also thought, because in the beginning, they kind of wanted me to play her kind of like cartoon evil, you know?
Twisting the
And
mustache evil?
kind
Yeah,
of, you know? And I was like, no, 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 guys. Real evil you don't see coming.
ex
Real evil is seductive. So that's why I kind of played her in the beginning like a 40s noir character, because I wanted her to be seductive. I wanted to draw you in and
that
then
is a
to kill
smart
you.
note, especially early on in your career because I notice a lot of people when they play evil, they immediately go to crazy and it's over the top crazy, and I'm like, "That's not it has to be nuanced for it to be relatable and realistic. I mean, even on a show with supernatural elements, that's a great note to have there. But that was a
And I had to
really
fight for that. I had to fight for that because they kept wanting me to go a little like in a different
right.
lane, and I was like, "No." And since I was a guest star, it's like
That's
they couldn't
that's
make me.
ballsy. That's
Yeah,
ballsy, actually. Yeah.
I mean, I am ballsy. I'm ballsy. Well, that's
Yeah.
part of the thing of how I was able to go to New York so young, or they definitely have a sense of self, a strong sense of self, and a creative perspective. And as a writer, creative perspective is everything, right?
It is
So, as an
absolutely.
actor, as
Mhm.
a dancer, as a writer, as an artist, and as a human, it's really important to understand what your perspective is and not to be pushed around and to know how to hold your ground. And sometimes we get pushed a little bit and then we step back into our power. And this is one of the things, speaking about my daughter, that I've been trying to teach her of how to hold on to your power without taking away someone else's. It's an interesting balancing act, and I think especially as women, we're taught and we're shown that we're supposed to always give our power away or ask permission or say sorry or so to me, balance of power is something that I have understood most of my life. I don't know why, it's innate. I was born with it. And it's something that I have taught to my friends and to the women close to me. And to, there's not a lot of men in my life because I've got a daughter and my friends are mostly female. But even, whomever it may be, whether it be a woman or a man, that balance of power is important and not to give away your power. Because what I've found, at least for me, that if I'm holding the power, I'm going to be fair. I'm going to distribute it
True.
fairly. Whereas a lot of people are not like that. You give them the power and they don't know what to do with it. They're overwhelmed. They lash out. There's many ways that it manifests. So it's very important to hold on to your personal power and learn how to always have a balance of power. And then it goes to balancing your art with your life. That's again a balance of power and understanding. And you check in with your core, right? You put your feet on the ground, you breathe in and you figure, does this feel right? Does this feel left? Does it feel wrong? So it's not about right or wrong, but what does it feel for you? And that's a really good template to use in many different situations in life, I
Yeah.
feel.
I totally agree, and that's a great innate quality to have and to also pass on to your daughter. I learned that trait later on in life because I actually did grow up very introspective, but what did it for me was when I started competing in fitness. And when you start doing fitness regularly, it's not just about the aesthetics of it, it's about the discipline and the confidence that it can bring as well, which is why I started this channel in the first place. It was to blend, the mind and body together in synergy, which is the whole thesis of this show. So that you explained that beautifully.
Thank
But
you. And did you know that Lily does Muay Thai, Jiu Jitsu, and boxing?
fantastic. Maybe she can finally take you down since I could never do it.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I was telling her the story this morning. I said, I was in my 20s then, by the way, so I was in much better shape than I am now. I'm 57 and proud of it.
Well,
And
well,
I could not take her down now.
well. I work out with a good friend of mine, and I try to take her down. She's much stronger than me too. So I tap at this point. I'm good.
I'm happy to tap out now. I'll do a little tap
Yeah,
dance, shuffle off to Buffalo.
exactly. I've done my due diligence, but
But then
getting
that's also about understanding your power and your strength and
yes,
when is it time to tap out? When is it time to step forward and understanding that. I mean, it's also a beautiful not analogy, but kind of there's a better word for it of that discipline that you have with your body and in competing that you can also have in your body and with the circumstances of your life, right?
absolutely. Everything for me springs forth from a place of health and wellness. If things are going wrong, I always pinpoint the health and wellness first because that's something that you do have a little bit of control over. And with the whole power thing, it's okay to not to say no sometimes. You don't always have
Sometimes it's
to.
important to say no.
Absolutely, yeah.
I
So
said no to the producers of how they
there you
wanted me
go.
to play Lila. I said no to a lot of things in modeling. And I said no to power so much that a lot of powerful people did not like me. And I did not care.
And that's okay. No,
But
not
the
everyone's gonna
right
like you.
people,
You're not pizza.
doesn't
Not
matter.
everyone's gonna like you.
Right? I love that because I love pizza. Who doesn't
I
like
love pizza
pizza?
too. Oh,
But
yeah.
I've never heard that expression. That's fantastic. I'm
Really?
so
Yeah,
stealing it.
that's sort of my go-to, like, but circling back to Angel, that was a really popular show, so what was it like balancing your day-to-day with the shooting schedule?
Well, because I wasn't a lead in that and I wasn't a series regular, I mean, it still took up a lot of time, but I'd been acting by that point for 4 or 5 years, and also because also while I was doing that, I would start modeling again and be traveling for that, and so I'd go model, I would be acting. I think I was used to, when I was younger, being very busy, and I never lived with anyone until I got married. I mean, I had some people who lived at my house, but I didn't actually move in with anyone until
They just stayed
until
there.
I got married. So, but I did a lot of caretaking. I know you remember this with my parents and going back and forth to Vegas. So I put a lot of priority on my family and my work. And I didn't really go on vacations. My vacation, people are like, oh, you're going to Vegas. I'm like, it's not what you think. I was going
Right.
to caretake my family. So my balance then, I mean, it wasn't, I was good. It's hard to describe because I definitely made that a priority because I'm a mama's girl and I am a family person. I am definitely a worker bee, but that was equally important to me. But I was also selfish. I always came first. I needed to show up for myself and my work, which I did. And when I had time that I could, then I'd show up for them, which I did. And then when I finally got married, I was 32. And that's when it got to be kind of my time and do vacations. And I did a couple more movies and we moved out to a farm. I got pregnant on purpose, had Lily, and I kind of shifted my focus from working to being a mom and a wife. My husband's a very successful film producer and he would travel a lot. And what I found in Hollywood, the marriages that lasted were the ones that stayed together. So I basically stopped working so that I could travel with him, with Lily, and we could stay together as a family unit. And we had a 30-acre farm, which I ran, which had 500 persimmon trees, 300 avocado trees, chickens, alpacas. I remember like, here's this city girl on a farm. I'm like, how did I get here? Calgon, take me away. Like sometimes it would be so overwhelming because it's not anything I ever pictured happening, but it was such a beautiful gift. And
Sometimes you just gotta roll with the punches, and just see where something
exactly.
leads you,
That's
and
always, I love that you say that because I said this to Lily. It's always important to have a goal and be ready to shift at any moment. To shift. So, but to always have a goal, work towards something, and be facile, like be ready to kind of like if you're in a fight, you got to move out the way, but you move, just move towards something. I think that there is something very positive about having a goal, but not being married to it, so to speak.
exactly. It's sort of the way that you write a book because you have an end goal in mind. But more often than not, if you don't follow a strict outline, you let the characters lead you onto a path that, for me, winds up being a lot of fun because while we're writing, we're essentially reading it for the first time. So it's better to let stuff just lead you where it's supposed to flow naturally than trying to. I've noticed recently that the more I relinquish control of things, the better they become.
Yes,
Rather
and
than
that's
choking on 'em.
yeah, and that's a very difficult quality to learn. And I totally understand. It took me a while as well because we feel like there's so much that we're supposed to control when in fact sometimes we're supposed to listen. And
Yes.
when you're writing, you're having some kind of divine messages being sent to you, and these characters are coming to you through you.
Mhm.
And so taking the time to listen, and I feel that that applies in life as well.
And I'm sure it applies to acting as well when you're trying to get into the
Oh,
mindset
yeah.
of these characters. And and other such things such as the physical aspects of it, because Angel was a very physical kind of a show. And you also did a movie called Manos Mind, which if I'm not mistaken, you did your own stunts, right?
I did 90 something percent of them. That was actually great. I learned how to take apart guns and put them back together. And back then, I was in my 20s then, so I was still really physically fit and had been a dancer. So that it was a great honor at the end of that shoot. The stunt people gave me the patch and made me an honorary stunt person.
Wow,
Isn't
that I
that
didn't know that.
nice? That
That's
was so cool. So that was a great compliment that they had respect for me. and I was, able to do that.
Yeah, you were very convincing. So if you guys haven't checked that out yet, it's called Meadow's Mind. Go look it up. Good action film. But you are also appeared on shows, sitcoms such as Just Shoot Me, and I was curious. So, which do you like better, comedy or drama?
But it's interesting. I've mostly done drama, and I also did Spy Hard, which is a comedy, which is a movie comedy.
That's right.
So
Yes.
the movie comedies are very different than sitcom comedies because sitcom comedies, it's very much of a timing, but bunch,
Mhm.
bunch, but bunch. And I
Right.
didn't quite get that. Like I wasn't I really loved doing that show, and that was fun, but acting is it's a very disciplined art. Like, there's not like, you can't just let things flow. For you, it's everything's broken down, everything's choreographed. You've gotta get in the mindset, "What are you doing here? What are you doing there?" It's very specific, and the more specific you are and the more work you do, the more freedom you have once you've already done that. But if you don't do that, then it's not grounded in anything. So, it's a lot more work than it looks like, which I
For
found out.
for sure, I remember being on set for Angel with you one time, and it was a simple walk and talk, and the little things just kept messing up, and they had to do it over and over again till the producers banged his fist on the wall. He was so frustrated.
Oh, really? But it wasn't me.
No, it wasn't you. It was just other
No, it was like,
little
just so
things.
the
Yeah.
audience knows, there was like a
It was
lighting thing, and then there was a
yeah.
sound thing, and there was a
Mhm.
this thing, and I totally like, see, that you remember the producer banging his fist on
Uh-huh.
the wall. I have no memory of that. I just remember seeing the scene and it worked out.
Yeah, you were upstairs. I think it was an upstairs
Oh,
thing.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. I was like, I didn't even see that. Oh, good, because usually they try to hide that stuff from the actors.
They do, yeah. Cause I was behind watching him the
Right,
film,
right. I
so I was
forgot
like,
that you
"Oh."
were there for that. That's so cool.
Yeah, that was cool, yeah, Christian Kane, was that his name? Yeah.
Yeah, I had so much
Mhm.
fun working with him. He's a little shorter than me, and they
Yes.
used to call us Natasha, Boris and Natasha, which drove him crazy and made me so happy.
I'm
But
sure
he and I
you
had a
y
great chemistry off screen as well. I just think he's the greatest guy. We really, really appreciate each other and got along great.
yeah, I met him when I was there, got to talk to David for, like, a half a second. So, you recently started doing more convention appearances. How has that been for you?
It has been so much fun. I had stopped doing conventions for about 10 years, or maybe more actually, maybe 15 years when I was kind of doing the farm, and it was towards the end of my parents' life, and I was doing a lot of caretaking, and I just didn't, and my daughter, I was raising my daughter, and I didn't have it in me to do all of that. So this again is about finding your balance and knowing what you're capable of and what you're not. And right timing is a very important thing. And it's a through thread in my life that I always think about. Is this the right time for me for this? Is this the right time for me for that? Regardless, and that it could be anything. So during that period that I didn't do conventions, it just wasn't the right time for me. Now Lily's graduated and she's working, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start working. And my husband's just retired. I'm like, okay, time for mama to get to work.
Yeah, a little bit of you time now,
So,
like you were saying.
and it's been I mean, think about it, how many years it's been off the air. And because Hulu started replaying it, so now
Mhm.
I have fans from our generation to much younger generations because of the repeat of it. And
Sure.
it's been wonderful, and I've got to see the cast members that I haven't seen in over a decade, which has been really nice. The fans' response has just been wonderful. I adore them, and I really love doing it. It's so much fun, and it's like this community comes together and find each other. Like, we're all a little bit off somewhere, and then they find their people, and they get to have this whole experience together through this weekend, and we get to watch this and to be a part of it, and it's wonderful. I really enjoy it. I just got done doing the Hellmouth Con in Torrance at the Sunnydale High. Check me out on Instagram. There's some really fun clips that fans have posted that I reposted, and I I try to make it as fun and as funny as possible. So they were calling me the chaos. Imagine that. But I loved it. I mean, and I got so many warm compliments, and them just saying thank you. So spend extra time with everybody and talk with everyone because I'm grateful to be there. They're grateful to be there, and it's wonderful.
I'll tell you what, people remember that because I've seen nothing but gracious posts about how nice you are. I mean, I know that from experience, personal experience. When you give your extra time to these fans, they're going to remember that, and they're going to hold that moment close because I always remember the people who did that for me and the ones who were more a little bit more negative. And I'll remember that too. So anytime that I'm doing a signing, I try to go the extra mile myself. But you were mentioning to me there was one fan who had given you a jacket made up of your artwork.
Oh my gosh, it was so fabulous. So last year at this con, it was in 2025, she gave me this gift of this jacket, this jean jacket. It was so cool. She spent so much time on it. It has all these different songs with my artwork, which meant so much to me. 'Cause I went through a very creative period in the 21 where I was doing photographs and painting and mixed media and putting them together. And then I was lucky enough to be chosen to be put in a gallery of all female artists, and they are established artists, and I am not. Another one of like me, nothing's happened since, but I haven't done more art since then. But I'm thinking about it again. But it meant so much to me that she took the time to find my art, to to print it on fabric, to sew all this together. I'm like, this is amazing. And I think, where am I going to wear this? Sometimes it's hard to wear something that's all about you with that looking, and then we offered to do the WeHo Gay Pride Parade. And I thought, oh, this is perfect for the parade. And so I wore it for that. And then I wore it for the first day of the convention. And Haley is the one who made it for me. And I've got her website information on my posts. But I love it. And it was a fan favorite. Everybody loved the jacket. And I had so much fun wearing it. And it's got my art all over it. And she made me all these buttons. And thank you, Haley. But there's such a
Fantastic.
lot of kind things that these fans will do and give you, and I was so because she featured my artwork on this, and then I got to wear it and feature her artwork. So
It's
I
a
thought that was a
full
beautiful
circle.
full circle moment,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like you said, it builds a community at these conventions and people the show means a lot to people and the characters touch them in certain ways. So they want to give back. I've done that myself in the past, but let's talk about your artwork. So how did you actually start getting involved in that?
I've always just done art. I don't know, I didn't really have art classes, but I've always kind of painted or done collages or how we used to do vision boards all the time. When you're trying to shift your life, haven't done a vision. Oh, maybe I should do a vision board again because I'm in the next chapter of my life.
Sure.
Maybe it's time to do a vision board. And then it's interesting, and you, I'm sure, can touch on this, Cynthia. Creativity hits you at the most unexpected times and in the most unexpected ways. And I just had this moment where it hit me, and everything I saw was again talking about that little shift had just shifted a little bit. And I was just creating, creating, I was every day creating, 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 creating. And I don't know where it came from, but it was one of my most prolific in art periods. I had a period like that maybe 10 years before in writing, which I've got. So I want to revisit that at some point. But it always feels like it comes from on high and is kind of comes down in some golden tube that ignites my body. And that's what it felt like. And I'm hoping the tube comes back.
Yeah, it's when you're in that state of flow. It's like you said,
Yeah, the zone.
yeah, for
When you're in the
sure. When your
zone.
muse is talking to you and it's just spilling out of you and you can't make it stop and it wakes you up or keeps you up late. Madonna, of all people, has a great quote. She said, "I'm not the owner of my talent. I'm just the manager of it because it comes from above." Um,
I love that. And I
yeah.
always thought of myself as copper. I'm a conduit.
Yeah.
So for in many different ways. So the conduit, whether it be art or music or people or thoughts or writing, like or love. Like sometimes universal love, you just sometimes think, who can I make smile today? Just going to the grocery store, say hi to everybody, say this. That's another way of being a conduit.
Absolutely, and it's one of the reasons I'm sort of expanding this podcast and the other stuff that I'm working on. So it's not just writers; it's all creative thinkers, all creators, because we all like it's all comes from the same type of source, and we all know what it's like to have that urge to just create, and we don't know why, but we have to do it. And
Yep.
I've tried to step away from writing before, and I just can't do it. I keep getting ideas, so
I remember actually a while ago you saying that you were gonna stop, and I was like, "Hmm, let's
And
see
I
how
did
that
not.
goes."
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
that's also kind of confirmation, isn't it? That
Absolutely.
you are a writer, you're meant to write. Maybe you step back for a bit, you get your balance, and then you
That's
stay
it.
up late writing.
Yeah, back to the balance thing for sure. But recently, my friend gave me an adult coloring book as a birthday present, and I found it to be very soothing, honestly, and it helps me to relax. So I'm curious, like with your artwork, do you find that it helps with any like stress or anxiety you might be having?
It's interesting because I had found an adult coloring book a couple years back that I really liked, and I gave it to a bunch of people. So I'm glad that someone gave it. I haven't used mine yet.
Well,
But no, it's
d-
funny because you would think that I mean, if I was doing that, maybe, but because when the art happens, it happens to me. I don't know
mhm.
how to describe it. And then what was interesting is I didn't love the process of being in the gallery and
Uh,
getting like that felt stressful and I hated it. But I loved creating art because art is something that happens to me. Commerce is something that you have to do. And it's a tricky thing, both in modeling, acting, art, writing. There's, so there's some that you do that you just can't help, and then some that you have to do for commerce. And the commerce part has gotten more difficult for me as I've gotten older, which is interesting. So, you know what soothes me? What soothes? Do you know what soothes me? It's not like doing art or acting or modeling or dancing for sure. Dancing soothes me, but thinking about stuff. I'm a deep thinker. I love to meditate on things and on people and situations, and I can sit for hours and think. Like people who need to learn to be still, I have no problem.
that is a rare trait for a creative. Well, let me tell you.
Yeah, I can. And sometimes I spent the last 10 years probably thinking a lot, you know, and I'm just starting to get active again now. And I look like I'm someone who's a hyper person who's going all the time, but I'm mostly still. It's like I'm 0 or I'm 100. So I'm trying to learn the balance of the curve, right? The balance of power within my own body, the balance of not just taking it to 100 back, like easing my way there. And sometimes I'm good at that, and sometimes I am not. So then there's the power of forgiveness for when you can't always do it in the way you hope to do it. So
For
I
sure.
think,
Yeah.
yeah,
A lot of creatives are such perfectionists, myself included, that
yeah.
we're our own harshest critics. Yeah.
For sure, for sure. So then there's the power in thinking and being kind to yourself. I know someone had said years ago that they went back to their younger self and held her
Wow.
and apologized to her. And so I feel that's an important tool that we can all use to kind of apologize to the younger self and give permission to, because it frees up your present self. And that's ultimately what we want, right? The freedom to be ourselves without so much judgment, without so much anger. Of course, we're going to judge ourselves. Of course, there's going to be difficulty. I was talking to my daughter. It's like, we're very fortunate, but life is a journey. And sometimes it's happy and sometimes it's sad. Sometimes you're healthy. Sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're in love. Sometimes you have no love. That's called being alive. And and she also deals with a lot of anxiety. So does a lot of people in my family. And so does every artist I know.
Mhm.
And I said to her, become friends with that because that's a part of who you are. You're not always going to like it and it's not always comfortable, but be comfortable with the uncomfortable and forgive yourself. And sometimes you need to cry, cry. Sometimes you need to be alone, but get back up. So this is me getting back up
Beautiful. Yeah, and I think a little bit of it is the curated lives of social media where everything's picture perfect. So now everybody thinks that their lives are supposed to be perfect when that is not reality at all. They never show you the negative aspects of what's going on in their lives. It's this curated little picture board. So it's
for
important.
sure. And I didn't have to deal with that growing up. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure what what's that like? But, they did have magazines and that and how they portrayed movie stars or models.
Mm.
So we did have, aspects of that for sure. And it wasn't, and even back in like the 50s, which is way before my time, 50s and 60s, like they didn't print any of the gossip about the actors of that. So nobody, they were all held to this esteem and people thought there were these idealized lives. Nobody has an idealized life.
No, you'd be surprised, and then the more the people come out and talk about, these people on these pedestals come out and talk about how their lives are not perfect, it actually will be
Yeah.
more helpful than actually trying to appear perfect. But
And I
and
think
that's
that's starting to happen. That's a
it
really good,
is.
and I think people are doing that. They're talking about their health different.
Mhm.
Women are finally talking about menopause. People are talking about mental illness, suicides, all that stuff, which is, and all of that's in my family, you know, and yours as well.
Yeah.
There's I think you look, and even with this interview, I don't talk a lot about the dark stuff that happened to me. And it's not that it hasn't happened. I don't focus on it, but I know it's there. There's always, with every great thing that's happened in my life, something seriously sad or bad has happened at the same time. And this is an interesting phenomenon that I've found with a lot of people. When something great happens, something is taken away, or something is taken away and something great happens. So almost for a while, it kept me frozen. It's like, well, if I just stay here and nothing's too good or too bad, then nothing too good or too bad can happen.
But then
And
nothing
so that's
happens.
also a
Yeah,
trap.
yeah,
Exactly. So that was when I was just thinking for a long time, like, okay, I won't leave the house. I won't do anything. But I think I was also in recovery mode from a lot of that traumatic stuff that happened. So, but like I tell my daughter, that's life. There's always going to be trauma and there's
yeah.
always going to be good stuff. And it's just navigating between it, right? And doing the best you can and forgiving the others too.
Well, absolutely. So, that being said, and you've already given quite a bit of great advice throughout this entire interview, but what advice would you have for someone who is an actor or an artist who might be struggling with like overwhelm or burnout, as they're trying to chase these careers?
Right. I think you have to ask yourself a hard question. I think you have to ask, do I have the right protective gear to handle this type of rejection? Am I built for this? Or maybe I'm meant to do it in a different way. Or maybe I'm meant to take a moment and just recover and then step back into it. Maybe I need to rest a little bit, think about it, and then breathe in, stand up, brush it off, and step back in. But give yourself the grace to question, right? And not in the way that's demeaning to yourself or mean, even though we can't help it. Don't get me wrong. I speak mean to myself too. But then I get mad at myself. I say, hey, don't say that. Don't
Yeah,
talk about myself that way. And then
words
you're
have
like, okay,
power.
okay. Yep, words have power. And with every thought, a molecule follows. So there's a physical presence to thoughts and to words. So I definitely recommend even those books that have positive affirmations, things like that, and to read them out loud, even if you don't believe them. It's like when they say, smile until you feel it. So that's kind of the best advice I can give because really life is a journey. And there are things that we have no idea why are put in our path, both positive and negative. And so what you want is to stay on the path. If you need to rest, rest. If you get hit and you're bleeding, wait till it heals. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. And then get back up and fight again. Live to fight another day.
Absolutely. That was perfect. So Stephanie, this is a new part of my interviews now because I like to talk about not just the success story, but the gritty middle that got you there. So what for you is a challenge you've overcome that you're most proud of?
That's a good question. A challenge that I feel like I've had to overcome so many things. I'm trying to think, what was the biggest challenge I had to overcome?
You could throw a couple out if you want to.
I don't know. It's funny because, like I say, I'm trying to remember. There have been so many. I mean,
Anything recently jump out to you?
well, the challenge of having not worked in 20 years and I'm trying to build up the fire to make it undeniable that I should be working again. I'm trying to reimagine a place for myself where I don't see one because normally if you haven't worked in so long, and especially in this business, it's a very difficult thing to do. But I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know that it's not going to work. So I'm still on that journey. This right now is a very difficult time in trying to manifest a new chapter for myself in a business that doesn't usually do that.
I would say though, in this day and age now, you have a lot more opportunity than you may have before with all the digital elements. You could go out there and make your own thing happen. There's no reason why you have to wait for somebody to do it for you. So I think you're going to do it. I have all the faith
Thanks,
in you.
Cynthia. And
Absolutely.
I'm not exactly sure what it looks like, and that's part of it too. I think that's part of the answer to the question is sometimes you don't have to know what it looks like. I've been doing things that for the last couple of years that my husband, my daughter are saying, "Why are you doing that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just know I'm supposed to be doing something. I don't have to have all the answers." Just like you said with your characters when you're writing, you don't necessarily know where they're going to go. You just know they're going somewhere.
Well, I would also say the same thing with this podcast and with the performance systems that I'm developing. I don't know where it's leading either, but it's something that I
Right.
feel compelled to do because been a hole in the industry for writers, especially because I can relate to them, but also with the creative side. And the more that I have been doing this, I notice it's not so much about the physical aspect, which is what I started with to try to get people to get out of their chair and get more mobility. What I noticed that's resonating is more of the mental aspect of it and the stress and
Yeah.
the burnout. So that I'm starting to lean more towards that, which is why I asked you quite a bit about that before. But you just
I'm
gotta
so
like
glad.
you gotta stay on the path, like you said, and go with
Yep.
and
Stay
see
on the
where it
path.
leads you. Yeah.
Nobody knows where
Mhm.
anything's going to lead them. What we see as an audience or as a reader, we see the end product,
Mhm.
right? We don't see what it took the writer or the artist or the mother or the sister. We didn't see what it took them to get there. We just see it finished.
Exactly.
Everybody has bumps and arrows shot at them,
Yes.
but the ones who stay on the road stay on the road. And that's kind of the gift in itself. And we don't have to know if we're gonna succeed or fail because you're not failing if you're trying, I feel,
Right. And then and every obstacle or arrow along the way builds those calluses that you need to go into the next step. And
right? And not just
yeah,
calluses, it builds I would argue with that. I would think it feeds you knowledge
that too.
and it gives you a deeper perspective and especially if you're willing to sit with it a little bit and not be mad at yourself, right?
Mhm.
Or the other, but protection is important, the callus that protects you, but to really understand more about your own self because ultimately that's why we're here, right? You are the only you have. Use you wisely. And
Beautiful.
sometimes we don't.
We don't. Yeah. People
It's
get
like, "Oh, the
lost.
places you'll go."
People get lost, but that you can always, get back on that path.
Yeah.
Um, so as we wrap this up, and thank you so much for coming on and sharing everything that you've shared so far. But what else do you have going on that you want to let audiences know about? I thought you were
I'm
writing a book.
actually there is a book that I need to go back to. There's the art stuff that I need to revisit. I am actually working on putting together well, it's something I'm not quite ready to talk about yet because when I'm manifesting, I am manifesting a place for me in this world. I don't know exactly what it looks like, but I have steps that I'm taking that I don't know if they're going to work yet. And I don't know that they're not going to work. So I'm not specifically going to talk about it because, as a creator, as an
Yeah,
artist, some things you have to hold sacred for a little bit.
yeah. No,
Because
I totally
sometimes
get that. Yeah.
if you tell people too soon, they can talk you out of it,
Mhm.
or they can try to give you advice, or or oh, maybe the character should do this, or maybe you should do that, or maybe I've just been listening to. I'm getting a lot of people saying, oh, you should do this or you should do that. And I'm like, okay, okay,
She's like,
I'm
"I
not
don't need notes."
sure.
Yeah.
I'll take them and I'll consider it. But so
Right.
I'm not. I'm definitely working on something.
Yeah, the thing
How's
is
that?
it's not their vision, it's your vision, so they can't see the
Right,
ending of it, you only know where that vision is taking you, so
right,
as they're trying to be, helpful, but they don't see it, so sometimes it's a lot of just noise, and you can put
right.
it in your pocket and maybe revisit it later, but, it's your
And
path to take.
back to the writing part, I do definitely wanna get back to the writing because a lot of it, kind of memoirish, but to do with my mother and my father and a lot of tragedy on my mother's side, and I was writing it from a 8-year-old's point of view, which was how old my mother was when she became an orphan, and I thought she would be thrilled. She got really angry at me. She's like, "This is not your story to tell. This is my story to tell." Well, she's dead now. So now it's my story to tell.
Somebody
So
has to
I'm
tell
not
it.
laughing that she's that, but
Right.
in a weird way, it's given me permission. And that's why I said I want to revisit that because I do feel that there's a value to that story and it will include it's like I'm not I've got ideas. I want to revisit that and I'm definitely getting back into my art. And I think I will start modeling again as well. And you may be seeing me in something soon. You never know.
Hey, mother-daughter shoot. How about that?
I would definitely love that. Are you kidding? That would be fun. People have been saying that. So I'm just also trying to get myself healthy and in shape because going back to the physicality of the job and all of that. So I need to get a little stronger, I think.
So being that this is a lot of, work balanced with well-being, what is, some of the stuff you're doing to get back in shape?
Well, I swim a lot, which is important, I think, for especially for older bones and joints.
Yeah.
I try to eat really well. Like I swim a lot and then I don't swim at all. Like I think a lot. I'm really good at thinking. I walk a lot to the car, to the kitchen.
Yeah, you're getting your steps
I
in.
need to do more physical stuff if I'm being honest. I need to do weight training, which I haven't done.
Wow.
Um,
My new system's gonna be perfect for you.
exactly. I
Yeah.
need it. I definitely need it. That is the one thing. Like I'm really good at a lot of stuff. I've been really not good at my physicality for a while now, and it's definitely it shows up in my ability to it's lost the word, but to stay like I can be active and then I have to rest. Like I do the convention and I have to rest for a week. And that's just a weekend where I know people go from that go to there, go to I was like, how do they do all of that? So I need to build my strength up again. So that is actually the number you hit on it and see how reticent I was to even admit it,
Right.
right? I don't swim a lot. I swim sometimes. I do walk to the kitchen, to the car. I walk my dog, but I have not in a structured way, which is what I need to do. And to be fair to myself, I didn't for a long, just remembering because I had a bad back, but now I get those shots in my back, so my back's not hurting me anymore. So now I don't really have the excuse, but I haven't been in practice. So that's my goal is to get in practice to get physically well or physically strong.
There you
That's
go.
what I'm lacking for sure. So Cynthia, I'll be leaning on you for that.
I'm here, absolutely, and I'll definitely send you some of the stuff that I'm building for specifically for creators and to fit it into their busy schedule because you don't need more motivation and more things to do. You need a system to follow
Correct.
precisely. So that will
I
keep
would
you
love that.
that'll keep you consistent and it'll start to build and you can maintain for longevity purposes. So absolutely.
I
Um,
would love that. Thank you. That is exactly the element that I'm missing.
Well, see how we came together at the perfect time because this is something new that I am building right now. I'm going to be launching it up pretty soon, and
Oh, fabulous.
you can be one of the beta testers for it for sure. Uh,
Yes, please. Raise my
absolutely.
hand.
There
I
you
would
go.
love that. It's
Yep.
definitely something I need. When
Yep.
you're out of practice for so many years, it's just not in my tool house. So
Yep.
I'll
But
borrow your
but
tools.
it is in my toolbox, and being
Yep.
both an athlete and an artist myself, I have combined those to come together and make one specific system for high performing creators. So it's going to deal with
I'm excited.
all the things. I am too now that I've actually verbalized it. This is the first time I'm actually verbalizing that I'm doing it. This is a new season of the Creative Synergy show where we're diving into a little bit more different things. So
And this is my first time admitting that I'm not as active as I should be. So look at us
yeah,
being
look at
truthful
us
and
being
I can
open
be
and
your
honest.
guinea
Absolutely.
pig. I love
Yeah,
that. I love that.
for
Thank
sure.
you.
So where
And
can people
congratulations.
you as well. Um good to see you out and about at the conventions having a good time, but where can fans find you online if you wish to let them know?
At Romanov Stephanie and StephanieRomanoff.com. And I
Beautiful.
know I'm on some other things. I think I'm on. I'm still learning the whole social media thing,
But
but
definitely
I'm
active
definitely
on
on.
Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. At Rona Stephanie.
And you'll find all these links in the description of this episode. But this has been amazing, Stephanie. We've got some gems in there. Thank you so much for coming on the show and lending your time and your voice to this specific episode. And it's just been great, and it's great to see you.
Thank you, Cynthia. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm really happy you're doing this, and I wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you so
I
much.
love you.
I love you too. Come back anytime.